Himalayan. That is how it's pronounced. So we're off to the dealership right now to go and give this a go, and I'm going to take you guys out on the test ride and let you know what I think. If you've watched my other episodes, you'll see that this is a bike which has been kind of teetering on the edge of my radar for quite some time, just with regards to whether it's the bike that I choose for my new ride. One of the things that I've been looking at with my bikes is just the fact that, you know, it's the bike that I've got at the moment is terribly unreliable. It's just breaking down constantly. So much for Suzuki reliability, because just about everything has broken on this bike so far. It's cost me $1,500 to keep it on the road, and even if I do sell it, I don't want to just be passing my problems on to somebody else. So therefore I have taken the liberty of getting out there and fixing everything on this bike. So the next person to get it, if I choose not to keep it, is going to have a brand new bike. It's had everything replaced on it, from chains, sprockets, starter motors, starter solenoids, heated grips, hand guards, clutch, screw adjuster, clutch cable, new tyres. It's had just about anything you can possibly think of done to it. So what we're about to do is to go and try out this new motorcycle. Now, it's the Royal Enfield Himalayan, or Himalayan as it should be said, and it's a, for those of you that don't know, and if you've clicked on this link you probably do know, it's the 2021. It's a 411cc thumper. It's meaning single piston. It is a 24.5 horsepower with 30 Newton meter of torque motorcycle, which is nothing. My first bike was a 250cc. It only had 19 Newton meters, but it did have 27 horsepower. So the top speed on that was probably a good few kilometers an hour higher than this one. Now, a couple of things. The highest speed limit in New Zealand is around about 67 mile an hour. That's around, if I've got my figures correct, it's around about 110 kilometers an hour. Well, it is 110 kilometers an hour. It's around about the 67 mile an hour mark. So what we're going to be looking at today is this bike going to be okay for commuting? Because unlike most people, this isn't a toy that I have in the garage. I use this to be able to go to the supermarket. I use this to be able to go and visit friends. I use this to be able to have as my weekend toy, as well as having this as my after work commuter. So after I get out of my rep vehicle, I jump on my motorcycle. I don't generally ride or drive anywhere in my work car unless after work, unless there's something that I need to pick up, like firewood or something along those lines. So the bike really is my primary source of transportation outside of work. So it needs to be reliable, it needs to be able to handle the speeds, it needs to be able to do what I want it to do, and that's to go off-road. Now, stats. One of the things that I love about this new bike that I'm having a look at today is the fact that it's got 220 millimeters of ground clearance. It's a full 30 kilos lighter than my present Suzuki V-Strom, and I like the price tag on it. The price tag is really good. It's got really good reviews. It's got a slightly larger front wheel. I believe it's instead of a 19, it's a 21. And I've just realised I've gone the wrong way to be able to get into this place, so I'm going to have to do a U-turn. But so that you guys are aware, you know, there is that big maybe hanging over it with the amount of horsepower. Now, if this was a 500cc and around 35 horsepower, I would be going, yep, okay, let's do this thing without even thinking any further on it. However, that's not the case, and so I had a quick go of a carbureted version a long time ago, and I liked it. I liked the styling of it, but I didn't like how little horsepower it had. I need to have something with a little bit more oomph to be able to get up the hills and do all those sorts of things that I have to do. If you've got a truck that's doing 75 up a hill around here, and you've got a passing lane, you've generally only got maybe a kilometre of passing lane, so by the time you actually wind the bike up enough to get past it, usually the passing lane is dwindling, if not completely gone by the time you get to the top, forcing the truck to either gear down if they've seen you to be able to let you through, or completely just completely having to put the brakes on and let you through, or you're stuffed because you've got nowhere to go. So the passing lanes here are extremely small. They are not something that you want to have something that with a lack of power with. So basically what I'm just looking for a car park now. What I'm going to try and do for you guys is give you a beginner's point of view on the Royal Enfield Himalayan. Now, when I say a beginner, realistically I've only been driving for 12 months. 12 months, that's the grand sum total. So I've been riding motorcycles for about 12 months. I got my license in December of 2019. I got into a car accident, an accident with my first motorcycle, and had to have surgery and what have you. So realistically, I've been off the bike for about a year. I bought another bike a few months ago, and I've been riding it around. I've done about 5,000 Ks on it, and like I say, it just keeps breaking down all the time. So we've got to go in, we've got to have a look at this bike, see what we can achieve with it, see if it's something that we can work with, see if it's something that we're going to be happy with. I've got a couple of other bikes that I want to test ride as well, so stick with me and we'll see what we can do with those. So yeah, I wanted to take you on this journey. I'm going to go in there now, and these guys specialise in Indians and Royal Enfields. They're also a car dealership, so they're quite a big facility, a lot of cars around. They're getting workshops and everything established around here as well, so the dealer network here is actually really good for these bikes. And so I'm going to pop in there, have a look at the bike, I'll get it all set up, and then we'll catch back up again once I have got all that sorted out. At any rate, we'll catch you soon. Okay, so here we are. As you can see, proudly displayed Royal Enfield, Royal cars, Royal vehicles I suppose they'd be calling themselves, because they're doing motorcycles and cars. These guys do Indians as well, and what an amazing set of guys. They are such a cool bunch of guys. But here's the new bike, guys. We're going to go out, we're going to give this a go. Dealer plate on the back still. Going to go out and give this a go. So, quick rundown of... Sorry, I've got a car right here, it's making it difficult for me. So, quick rundown, 21-inch front, 17-inch rear, 14.5 litre fuel tank. Instrument cluster here. It has a little GPS. What's going on here? It has a little GPS on it here, so you can connect it to your phone. I won't be doing that today, but that's the bike, guys. So I'm going to get geared up and we're going to get out on this bike and we're going to give it a go. Alright, okay guys, so here we go. Just looking at the instrument cluster here, you can see that the ABS is on there, got the nice neutral light there. Instrument cluster looks pretty good. It's pretty small in comparison to what I'm used to. Got the high, low beam light there, indicators, horn in normal positions, not like the Honda I tried, and hazards, kill switch and starter down there. Alright, let's just get these wing mirrors into a position where I can see. Alright, so away we go. How do I feel about it just sitting on it? It's really good. I'm 5'11.5". I can just flat foot. So just whack it into gear. Now it's brand new, this bike. No one's ridden it, so I've just got to get the tyres burned off a wee bit and warm them up a bit. And I will say that throttle is silky smooth in comparison to even the Japanese brands. It's interesting being on a thumper because I'm used to a V-twin. So far it's running really well. Alright, everything's in a little bit of a different spot to what I'm used to as far as... Okay, so taking off at slow speeds in second gear, not really its thing. Alright, I'm just going to put my lid down so you can hear me properly. Okay. Let's just see how this goes, eh? Brakes are a little bit ambiguous on it. I'm sure that it's something you get used to. Sorry, I'm just trying to crack my helmet a little bit because it's fogging up on me. So, yeah, it's a little bit... That brake was just a little bit softer than I was expecting. I would say already that we're going to have some trouble with with the wind in our faces. You can buy different windshields for these, so it's not a big deal. Riding position feels pretty good. A little bit shorter than the V-Strim. The V-Strim I'm leaning forward just a little bit more. So we do have that advantage on this one, that it's a little bit more sort of upright. It certainly isn't threatening as far as the power just taking off. It's very gentle, very manageable. Clutch is reasonably soft. It's probably a little bit softer than my V-Strim, I think, since I've had the new clutch and cable and everything put into it. This is probably a little bit softer to do. The bike feels a lot smaller than what I'm used to. Okay, and up to 60k an hour, no problems. Now we're going up to 80. Gosh, I tell you what, it is cold. Winter is definitely here. When I checked the car before, it was 11 degrees, it's now 12 degrees, that's Celsius, guys. It's a very different feel. Immediately I can say that there's a little bit of a buzz at 80k an hour, but apparently it's what you expect from a thumper. Just adjust that mirror a bit more. That clutch is really good. The gear change is silky smooth. It's better than the Suzuki V-Strom any day of the week. And it's saying that we're doing 80. I'm estimating we're probably going to be doing around about 75, 76k an hour. But so far so good. We don't want to be pushing it too hard simply because it's got new tyres on it. They've very kindly given me half a tank of gas. Exactly 6.6 kilometres on the clock at this current point in time, of which I have done 4 kilometres. Okay, now that we're actually up and running, it's saying that it's 11 degrees out here, and from what I know about the temperature gauges on these, they read about 2 degrees warmer, so it's probably 9 degrees exactly. Alright, so remember to change gears coming through here because it doesn't have the torque to do the things that the V-Strom has. I'll tell you what though, it feels nippy enough around town. I'm certainly not missing the power from the V-Strom, other than the fact that it was you know, just when you get to you've got to be more precise with your gearing when you're getting to a set of lights because it doesn't have the torque to just pull through. But it's a pretty nice little beast. Interestingly enough, I thought this was the fuel injected version, but this has got a it's got a choke on it. So that's interesting. I don't know whether New Zealand's just not getting the fuel injected versions or what's going on there. With that mirror, I can get it quite the right position. I'm mainly on the mirrors. Now I'm a 90 kg guy, and I'm mainly getting probably about 50% my arm and 50% road in the mirror when it's positioned where I need it. Good engine braking on it. Hard case little single pot sound. Sounds like a farm bike. It's very quiet on the road. I'm used to having a big Scorpion exhaust on my 650, so in comparison this is a very quiet little bike. Okay, we'll wait for you, buddy. Oops. Just take me a little while to be able to get used to the instrument cluster on it. What I'm feeling from this bike right now is it's not threatening. It's very predictable. It moves really nicely. Just glides down the road. Now it says I'm in 5th. There is no 6th. No 5 gears, as I'm sure all of you knew already. There's a little bit of pull at 50 kilometers an hour. There's a little bit of pull on that. I'm just finding that instrument cluster, the indicator switch, a little bit small for my hands, but nothing you wouldn't get used to. Oh, maybe that's south, not 5th. Okay, let's have a look here. Looking at the wrong gauge, I think, guys. Alright. Yeah, I am. Okay, so that's 2nd. That's 3rd. But it's keeping up in traffic really well. Turn the indicator off, Shane. It's keeping up in traffic really well. It's quite a flicky little bike in comparison to the V-Strom. I feel like this is no effort at all to be able to flick. So let's talk about what you get here. You've got ABS on this bike. I can't see a switch to be able to switch it off, so it must be permanently on, which may be a bit of a pain in the bum when we're going off-road. We'll see how it handles. You really just need to be able to have the rear brake switched off so that you can skid it to be able to get it around corners and stuff. Back down to, see, I was only in like 3rd or 4th that whole road at 50k an hour and felt really good. That gear change is so silky smooth in comparison to my Suzuki. It tips into the corners so nicely. Oh, incidentally, if it's bought by the end of this month, which is actually just coming up now, guys, to be fair with you, if it's bought by the end of this month, you're gonna have for 990 bucks, they're doing a full set of pannier racks for you. So for 9,000 bucks, you've got your pannier racks and this great little bike with ABS on it, so you can do some overnight trips and things like that. I'm looking forward to hitting the main road. I can tell you now, guys, boy, I wish that I've got nice thick gloves on at the moment. These are my winter riding gloves, but I do wish that it had heated grips, so that'd be something else that you'd probably want to go and get. So I think probably by the time you got depending on what kind of riding you're going to do on it, a more serious bash plate, if you've got a more serious bash plate, the pannier racks, the heated grips, you're probably looking at okay, we're in 2nd gear now. Pulls out okay, very gentle. Nothing that's going to scare somebody who's new. Okay, we're up at 80.
third. And now, bearing in mind that the speedo is probably going to be around about, at this speed, it's probably going to be around about 8 to 10k an hour out, as most bikes are. I'm sitting here at about 85 now. Alright, and we're cranking it to the 100 mark. So now we're 4th, 5th. It's so good around the little corner, around the corners. A little bit of counter steer and it just tips in nicely. No, it's a 5 speed. So that's it. It's now currently sitting at around about 105, which is about 65 mile an hour according to the speedo, and I'm thinking that I'll probably be doing just under 100 at this point. The ride's, well, it's a bit firmer than what I'm used to, but certainly not hard. The seat's very comfortable. It's just feeling the shock as you're going over the bumps through the seat. That seat is immensely comfortable. You've got a little bit of a rise there, which gives you the feeling of a bit of lower back support. Alright, let's see how we go here. Now, it was predicted that it was supposed to be showers and what have you today, and it looks like that's actually coming a little bit sooner than I thought. Hopefully it'll hold out for a wee bit longer, but it'll be good because I've got some new gear from Oxford that I'm wearing at the moment, and it'll be good to see how waterproof it all is. Just tipping it into the corners. It has so much confidence on it, even though these are brand new tyres and it's just starting to rain. It's got so much confidence in it, and it gives you a bit of confidence as well if you're new. Okay, going up the first little bit of a steeper hill in 5th gear, I have to say there was nothing. There was nothing. You need to go down to 4th to be able to get up the hills, I think, at any reasonable pace. Like I say, I'm just taking it easy around here because new tyres, just a little bit of drizzle on the road, and that's always the most slippery time. So the air that's coming at me now, even though I'm getting hit with all of it pretty much, it's good clean air, so my helmet's not being, you know, buffeted around or anything like that. It's just good clean air. And we're back down to 85. I'll have a look to see what it says up here. So we're at saying that I'm doing 85 here, and it's saying that I'm doing 70 up there, so speedo might be a little bit out. And it said 76 just there, so and I was just doing just a touch over 80, so maybe it's around about 5 or 6k an hour out at 80 kilometers an hour, and that's not that unusual. Alright, so we are heading up the road here a little bit further. I'll try and keep the lens clear of rain if I can. We're going to turn off just up here. There's a couple of roads that I want to try out on this that are off-road sections. So we're going to give that a go. I have to say I'm actually incredibly impressed. Okay, that brake's working a lot better now. I'm incredibly impressed with the amount of flickability that this bike has. It's not something I've experienced on a bike before. It's probably down to the 21-inch front, which some people might say makes it a bit twitchy. I don't feel that way. I just feel it like it's just really easy. We'll see how we get on down through here anyway. So we're almost into winter here, guys, as you can see from the trees. And so it is very, very cold. Every time I breathe out, my helmet fogs up. DRZ. Right, we're just going to head down Ferguson Road here. I think this is an off-road road, but I can't quite remember. Maybe not. I came down here before I had my surgery. And I was trying to do some filming for you guys, but for some reason the GoPro decided it wasn't going to work. Let's see how we go here. So with fourth gear, this is a really steep hill. Ooh, that was a bit slippery. Yes, this isn't where I was planning on being. So we might just do a U-ey around here and go back down to the bottom. It's so good to put your foot down on this one compared to the Suzuki. Clear. The flickability on this is just fantastic. You know, you can shuffle your bum, you can do your counter steering, and this bike is fantastic. Alright, so let's see. Go up the road here a little bit further. I would say that this is a very gentlemanly bike. It's nothing crazy. Everything works as it should. It's just very predictable. The throttle's very smooth. The brakes are now grabbing very nicely. I think it was maybe just because they were new brakes. just needed to pump the brake a little bit. I'm not speeding, you know, along here at the moment. But you know, it feels comfortable, and this is not going to be a bike that you can speed on anyway. If I twist the throttle here, it does take, in comparison to the Suzuki, a wee bit of time for that, for us to build up to 100k an hour. Right, so what do we got up here? Let's shoot off up here, eh? Yeah, it's got a very long throttle on it, so you've really got to back it off before you're going to get any real yeah, I've been down here before, I know where we are. So it's got a lot of travel in that throttle. Reminds me a little bit of the Hyosung I used to have. You almost used to have to twist it around and then take your hand off and re-grip it and then twist it around again to be able to get it to full throttle. But it's just a very gentlemanly bike. Nothing too unpredictable, and flicks into the corners. You know, I think on the road so far anyway, bearing in mind I'm not doing, you know, huge speeds, but it's the sort of bike I wish I'd had for my first bike. It's the sort of bike I wish I'd had for my first bike. Everything works on it really nicely. It's well behaved. There's nothing unpredictable about it. It's not quick, but bear in mind it keeps up with cars. So as far as the motorcycle is concerned, you've got to think that not quick on a motorcycle is still pretty quick when it comes to a car. So I would say it would be maybe Toyota MR2 territory, out to about 80 to 90k an hour. If that makes any sense to you. Alright, so now we're hitting the off-road stuff. Let's have a look here. Where are we at? Okay, standing up on it, I'll say that the pegs feel a little bit too short for me, but that's an easy fix aftermarket. It rides fairly predictably, I have to say. It's a little bit obviously on this loose, because this is all really loose gravel. It's handling it quite well. The tyres are doing their job, and it feels more manageable than the V-Strom on this stuff. And it is just a little tractor. It's just pulling its way up. I'm in second gear at the moment, and it's just pulling its way up the hill. Oh, that's going to mean I have to clean it. Alright. There's a nice little bit of engine braking to the point where the back end went out on a little bit just then. So I'm sitting down on it again now, just going to pop my helmet up a bit. So I took my V-Strom up through here, and it didn't feel as comfortable to ride this stuff as what this does. This feels like this is what it was built for. This is where it was meant to be. It's pretty cool, actually, I have to say. So just so that you know, these guys, they've said I can be completely honest about the bike, and but they want me to test ride all of their Royal Enfields. So that's going to be really cool. It was a really nice sort of little happenstance that happened this morning. They want me to test ride all of them. They want me to give a newbie's perspective on these bikes, and just to let everyone know what they're like. Now these things are, hey mate, these things are hellishly reliable, and in fact, when they were doing the first test on Fort 9 of the oil, they found that this was one of the least contaminated bikes from the factory out of any of the other brands. So the only other one that came out on top of this one, I think, was BMW, but they were pretty much of a muchness. So that shows how much Royal Enfield has actually stepped up in their manufacturing process on these bikes. Now, you're going to do the most amount of wear in your first 5,000 Ks in any vehicle, and that's why you've got to ride them really gently and not do what I'm doing to it now, is because, you know, it's still wearing in. So if you've got a lot of contaminants sitting in your engine, this is coming from the nerdy engineer that I am, if you've got a lot of contaminants sitting in your engine, you're going to run into more wear and tear longer term. Bearing in mind, the manufacturers don't really care about how reliable it is after it's run out of its warranty, so long as they don't have to replace anything while it's under warranty. So, just trying to give you guys a bit of a view while we're doing this as well. So the cleaner the engine bay, the engine assembly plant is, the better chance that you have of having longevity on your engine. These are really easy to work on. They're a single pot. I'd say that this one's probably, if it's got a choke, this is not the fuel injected version, so this will be carbureted. And there's a lot of magic happens in a carburetor that I don't really understand as an engineer, so I do know that you've got to adjust it when it's cold, etc. One thing I will say is it feels like it's built for slightly shorter people than I am. I feel like I need some risers on this. I'm leaned over the handlebars quite a lot, having to stand to do this. But it does feel better than the V-Strom coming through here. Mind you, when I did come through here, I had Anarchy 3s on, so they weren't really designed for this kind of environment. I haven't been back up here again since I put the new rear tyre on, which is a Shinko 705. But you know, this is doing such a good little job. Oh, okay, I will say that rear brake needs to be, I just started using the rear brake now coming down this, but that needs to be adjusted because my foot's at around about a 15 degree or 20 degree angle, probably trying to get to the thing over the peg. But the suspension works really good. It's handling this really well. Okay, let's have a look here. I really feel a bit uncoordinated on that rear brake. It's just, it needs to be up a notch, I think, from where it is, because trying to grab it is quite hard with the foot at the moment. Real pretty little spot through here. Hope you guys can see it okay. The first time I came through here I didn't know where I was going, but apparently this is the original road out to Raglan from Hamilton. So I'm really having to squat over the top of this bike. I'm finding it a little bit, if you were 2 or 3 inches shorter than me, this would be perfect. But being just shy of 6 foot, I feel that I'm kind of at the limit of where this bike is happy, or where I'm happy on this bike anyway. Alright, but this is soaking up all the bumps really well. This is corrugations. You feel them, but not like you would in a car or anything. It's actually doing really well. But needs bar risers for me. Easy fix again. So just change where that rear brake is, so that we've got a little bit more grip on it. Not having to move my foot quite so much because I've just had surgery. My knee's not really enjoying having to pitch itself to where that brake is currently located either. I tell you what guys, I feel so much more confident on this bike than I do on the V-Strom on this kind of surface. The V-Strom was just hard to handle and you felt nervous. This just reminds me of going back to the farm bike days on the Yamaha TT and the Yamaha Ag. It has that same sort of a feel to it. It's really good off-road, really good off-road. You know, I'd place this in the category of, I think, having done this for a wee, you know, been on this bike for 30 k's now. I feel like somebody who's new, who wants to do a little bit of adventuring, maybe the odd overnight stay somewhere, I reckon this is the bike. This is a great little bike. Just feels so planted and so good on this stuff, like it's meant to be here, you know. I don't even know how fast I'm going. How fast am I going? 40k an hour. This is definitely, I think, going to have to go back to my list. See, even going over this really thick gravel is just really predictable, just bounces itself out. Just a really easy bike to ride. I think that's, yeah, I would say that this is, in a previous video I've talked about how much is too much horsepower when you're learning, and I said to you guys that a 400cc is probably around about perfect. Well, this is a 411cc. Okay, it doesn't have the horsepower of a Ninja or anything like that, but it doesn't really need it because that's not what it's designed for, right? So what it is designed for is being able to do these kinds of roads and to be able to get you to these kinds of roads. So it's almost more of a dual sport, I think, than a touring bike. If you want an adventure tourer, this is probably not the bike for you. But if you want something that'll get you, you know, on a 2-day ride somewhere, an overnighter somewhere, this is going to be great. But if you're going to be doing weeks and weeks and weeks on the road, I don't know. It gets a little bit buzzy when you get to speed. Had a bit of rain through here. I'll just make sure you guys are clean and clear. So good on these back roads. Pretty happy. Just tootling along here. I would say 80 to 90k an hour. It just cruises, it's really happy. It'll do 100. Probably do 110, but it does take a long time to get from 80 to 100. Which is one thing that I was a little bit concerned about. It's fine, probably your first year or so of riding, or if you're just somebody who just likes to have a bit of a tootle on the road and doesn't really care about doing too much in the way of passing or anything like that. This is a good little bike. Like it's never going to upset you. It kind of puts a smile on your face. It's not one of those bikes that puts a smile on your face because it's ripping your arms and legs off as you're going down the road at 200k an hour. It's the kind of bike that puts a smile on your face because it's economic, it's fun, it's just a happy little chappy. Has a nice little putt-putt noise from that thumper. I actually kind of like it. It just reminds me so much of growing up in rural areas and riding motorbikes. Like I say, the Yamaha TT and that sort of thing. It's just got that same sort of feel to it, and that nostalgia that goes along with them. But like I say, it's also got that same feel to it off-road, like you're riding a farm bike. Probably not an enduro bike or anything like that, but it just feels like you're riding a farm bike. Herding the sheep or the cattle or whatever in the afternoons, doing a few little jumps and things like that on it. That's kind of what this bike feels like. It just feels like one of those bikes. As far as the weight of this bike is concerned, it's so centralized, you really don't feel it. It feels so light. I guess because I've been, you know, my V-Strom with all of the gear on it, you know, is probably 235, 240 kilos. And here we go, back to the main road again. So this is where we do our test to be able to find out how well it's going to keep up with cars, how well it's going to handle hills. Alright. Great in the corners. Still having to remind myself to take it a bit easy because the tyres, they're just not bedded in yet. Taking it a little bit easier. I'm only doing sort of 75-80k an hour in a 100k zone because it is a bit twisty through here and the tyres not being fully bedded in. I apologise in advance for any sniffing you might be hearing. It's very, very cold. Maybe 9 or 10 degrees at the moment. Bit tingly through the foot pegs, but you know, my V-Strim's got that too. Don't really feel anything through the handlebars. I do have very thick gloves on, so it's probably helping a little bit. Not really feeling anything other than road vibration through the handlebars. I do find myself liking fourth gear. It's kind of the torquier one. 5 kind of feels like an overdrive gear. We're heading up into some twisty bits here, so I'll just take it down to third, which I would do on my V-Strim anyway. The V-Strim would handle all of this in about third gear. And this is doing pretty well at it too, actually, I have to say. I feel a lot more comfortable on the corners than I do on the V-Strim. Just checking that light. You guys have been watching this for a wee while. It is an extensive test. You know, we've taken it off-road, we've taken it on-road, we've taken it through twisties now. So it's a pretty extensive test. What we really need is just a few straights to see exactly how well it copes at New Zealand speed limits. So this just feels so nice through the corners in comparison to my big wallowing V-Strim. And it doesn't feel like I've got so much power up my sleeve I'm going to just yeet myself into forever if I twist that throttle too much. I can really give this a good go and it doesn't really do anything. But I'm still catching traffic going around these corners. Just to show you, I'm taking it gingerly. and it did all of that in third gear, which is exactly what I would be doing in my V-Strom. I'm a bit of a lazy rider, I don't like having to change gear too often. And this is actually not too bad. These corners are rated at 45k an hour. I'm probably only doing them, there's a car in front of me here, but I'm doing them at probably about that speed, 45-50k an hour. But it doesn't feel like it's at the edge of it. It just feels like it's just cruising through the corners. Not a bad view, guys. Not a bad view. I can't help feeling like if this just had another 6 or 7 horsepower, this would be the ultimate on-road, off-road bike. You could do touring on it, you could do just about anything you wanted to do on it, with absolutely no issues. It's brilliant off-road. On that track, I've not ridden a bike that's been as good through that kind of stuff before as this is. On road, I would say it's probably better than the 250, but I certainly don't feel like it would be as good as my 650. Though I will say that it's more flickable, easier to manoeuvre in the corners than the 650. It's just, you start getting up around 100, it feels a little bit twitchy maybe. Beautiful country, don't I? Look at it. That, my friends, is a speed camera. Luckily this bike doesn't really like speeding. So, did I have issues with the ABS off-road? No, I didn't. Just the amount of travel that there is in that back brake off-road hurts my knee a little bit, given the fact that I just had surgery. Might be a little bit to be expected, but you do have to lean forward quite a long way. I felt like my toes were pointing at the ground before I got any grip on that back brake. But if you move that around 1 notch, maybe 2 notches, that problem will probably be solved. Whether you'll be able to reach it, if it was another 1 or 2 notches higher, that would be the question. But it is serviceable, it does work, and it is grippy off-road. Like that back brake works perfectly well off-road. Now, see, this guy's wanting me to pass. I'm in 5th. we're just struggling. On full open throttle here in 5th gear. They probably only got me to 100k an hour. It said 110, but speedo's out by 6-7k an hour at least, so might have been doing 103, and it took quite a while to be able to get past him. And that was my one concern, and that was on a flat. So how it would be off-road, sorry, not off-road, how it would be up a hill would be, you know, I just don't know, and that's the question that I've still got with this bike. It'll accelerate up the hill, no problems. I'm in 4th gear to be able to do it, but it does it. Just about back into town again. We've done about 50 k's on the bike through several different types of terrain. We've overtaken, so it will overtake. It just takes a little while to get there, that's all. So you make sure that you've got plenty of planning there when you're actually going to overtake somebody. Just make sure that you've got plenty of planning there. Stay relaxed on the road. This isn't a bike where you can go screaming down the road, but you know, if I had have jumped on a Lamb's 650 V-Strom, I'm telling you right now, if I hadn't have had any riding experience before, one, it would have scared the crap out of me, so I wouldn't have ridden, you know, to my fullest capability, and two, I probably would have looped the bike or yeeted myself into the Netherlands because I don't have the experience on the bike. This is going to do everything that the V-Strom does, but it's not going to be scary, it's not going to be intimidating, it's going to turn when you want it to turn, you're not going to have to heft it left or right or whatever. You can use all of the power that it has without fear that you're going to flick yourself off into the Neverland. It's a good little cruising bike. It's not built for speed. Perfect for learning. I think the riding triangle on this is perfect for a learner. It's really comfortable. The throttle is very forgiving. It's not jerky like the Hondas. It's not too powerful. It's just a nice, predictable, cool machine to ride on. Now, the fuel tank I'm picking is the same as the Hyosung, whereby at the moment it's saying that I'm just starting to look at my reserve. But I had just under half the tank when I started out. So I'm picking, from the time that it actually registers full, it's actually only half the tank. So you won't get any registering of whereabouts that's going to be until you're halfway down. Halfway down it'll show as full, quarter will show as half, and then when you hit your reserve, that's really the reserve. You know, I'll top this back up again for the guys to say thank you very much for letting me give this a ride. Like I say, I've got a couple of other bikes that I want to ride before I decide for myself what my next bike's going to be. But these guys were so good. You know, they said to me, look, we don't know motorcycles as well as 90% of the customers that walk through the door. You've usually done your research before you even come in here, and in my case I definitely have done that. So they said, just let us know if there's anything you can do. Bums and Seats sell bikes, and Good Service sells bikes. These guys know how to sell by not selling. They're good, friendly guys, nice to talk to, really helpful, understanding. They are, you know, really open to you getting out, just riding whatever bike you want to ride and making a decision from there as to what you want. So if you're in the Waikato, or if you're in the market for another bike, go and see these guys, because, you know, they're really good to deal with. They're not trying to push me onto a bigger bike, they're not trying to push me onto a better bike. They just want me to try out the stuff that I like, and if I like it, I can buy it. If I don't like it, I don't buy it. There's no pressure there at all from these guys. Some of the other companies that I've been into are trying to push me onto 70 horsepower, even up to 120, 130 horsepower bikes, and that's not what I'm about. I want something that's economic and fun to ride. I want something that's friendly and has a bit of personality to it. This bike does all of that exceptionally well for not a lot of money. 9,500 bucks. You know, if you're looking at a car, you're not going to get a car which you're going to drive around in most of the time on your own for 9,500 bucks. Now, I'm in 5th gear at the moment. I'm doing around 50k an hour, and it still pulls forward. So you can comfortably ride around in 5th gear on this bike, and it's going to still pull and do all the things that you want it to do. It's got a decent sized fuel tank in it, which is good enough for most New Zealand riding. You know, everyone's saying that you get around about 400 k's to a tank. So long as you're getting around about that sort of mileage, you're guaranteed to be able to come across a town or something where this is going to do the job. And yeah, do keep looking at this because it's got a little bit of moisture, I think, in the bottom of that glass. So we're at 62.2 kilometres. This trip has been really good, really informative for me. I hope it's been really informative for you. I'm going to go and gas this thing up, and then I'm going to return it to its rightful owners. I've got a whole bunch of bike reviews to do now because they're wanting me to try out all of the Royal Enfields. So that's going to be cool fun. So we will see you on the next trip. Probably next weekend we'll give another Royal Enfield a go, and yeah, we'll just decide which one is best for what style of riding. the riding position on this, the flickability on this, the reliability and the longevity that you're getting out of these bikes at the moment. You know, some people are doing, you know, 70, 80, 100,000 kilometers on these bikes. All of those things contribute to this bike being a fantastic starter bike. I think if you're a mature rider that just wants to cruise down the road at 90k an hour and just enjoy the scenery, this is the right bike for you as well. The fact that they've got ABS, they're simple to work on, it's been a fun little ride as well. It just puts a little smile on your face for a different reason to speed. It puts a smile on your face because it's just so delightfully easy to ride. And I didn't miss my second cylinder at all, I have to say. So, great little bike. And this is 40 Noob NZ signing off. We'll catch up with you guys on the next trip. Ka kite anō.